Fentanyl poisonings are killing thousands of people across Texas, but there is some encouraging news. The latest statistics from the CDC show a slight drop in the number of deaths. DEA officials say some of the decline is due to increased awareness. Last year, Texas lawmakers boosted education efforts in the state, and Governor Greg Abbott signed a bill known as Tucker's Law. It requires school districts to educate students about fentanyl. It's named after Tucker Rowe, who died from fentanyl poisoning at the age of 19. His mom, Stephanie, helped push for the legislation. Joining us now, Stephanie Rowe. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So for people not familiar with your story, tell us a little bit about Tucker and Texans against fentanyl.
Yeah, Tucker was my firstborn, my only son. He was born with just an adventurous little spirit, a lover of people, and just a real light in our family and in others. And Texas Against Fentanyl is a 501c3 founded to fight fentanyl education, awareness, support, recovery, and legislation. In 2021, when I lost Tucker, I had no knowledge of illicit fentanyl. I had never heard of pressed pills. I did not know that teens were selling to teens, and 7 out of 10 pills were lethal. And as a mom, that just struck me that I didn't have information to I didn't have the information to safeguard my son and give him knowledge of that poison.
You pushed to pass Tucker's Law. What does it do?
Tucker's Law requires fentanyl education in grades 6 through 12. And when we passed this law, we thought, and the why behind it is I just wanted to share with schools that there's this poison that kids have access to, let's talk about it. And we were met with resistance. So we continued to escalate it. And when we got to the Capitol and we were fighting there, we thought, oh good, now the state will have this information, but it was really an unfunded mandate for schools, and they didn't know what to teach. What do we do now? And now they're just saying, hey, you have to talk about fentanyl, and it really kind of created a little bit of confusion, and that wasn't our intent in passing the law. So since then, now we have curriculum that we have developed, and we're in a pilot with the TEA on that.
Yeah, it has been a year since the law passed, and you kind of mentioned some of those challenges. What kind of difference have you seen it make so far?
Well, we do have schools reach out all the time, and we do assemblies, and we bring in the Tucker Project into schools across the nation. It's written to the state standards, so it's easily implemented. But really, knowledge is power. If a student understands that this is what it looks like, you can't see it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it, it can be added to these things, this is the impact it has on the body. It's not a just say no campaign, it's get educated so you can make better decisions. Tucker would have never tried heroin, but we know fentanyl to be 50 times stronger than heroin. And that's a knowledge. It was marketed and sold in the form of a pill.
The next legislative session obviously is looming in January.
Yes.
Will you be working on any kind of updates?
Yes, absolutely. We have some line items that we'd like to come back in and work on a little bit with Tucker's Law, and then we're also working on other legislation. It's important right now when people show up to hospitals, they're often not tested for that next level panel, and a lot of these deaths are not being accurately reported. So that's a big one for us. And then of course we are getting behind the fentanyl test strips. We really want that to pass this session. We were disappointed last session that did not get passed. And we're working on several others as well. We will not stop. We are relentless. We have a group, a network of angel families who have lost loved ones to fentanyl across the whole entire state. And we're gonna keep pushing this to the lawmakers to know that we're not backing down. And what Mad Moms did was a group of mothers who lost their children to drunk driving. And now here we are. We're Mad Moms who have lost our children to something that we did not have education on, and we're not backing down.
Well, Stephanie Rowe, founder of Texas Against Fentanyl, Tucker's mother, thank you so much for sharing your story and being with us.
Thank you for having me.
From law enforcement to education and harm reduction, we are taking a closer look at the fight against this deadly drug. Our special presentation, Saving a Generation, the Fentanyl Crisis, airs next week. Check your local listings. It will air on some stations Monday at 7 p.m. Others will see it next Friday at 7 p.m. Texas voters approved a $1 billion plan to help meet the state's water needs, but some leaders say we need much more.
We estimate that the state of Texas will need to invest a minimum of $154 billion in the coming decades on our water supply needs.
We look at the new call for action to head off a growing water crisis. Lawmakers in Washington vote to avoid a government shutdown for now. The temporary fix and the funding fight that's still looming on Capitol Hill.